Welcome to the Coach Jeff Garrett Show, where each week I bring you short, bite-sized podcasts filled with powerful ideas that you can use at home and at work. I'm a thought leader that believes you can have success while living life out of balance. I'm glad you're here. Let's get the show started. I've found it's really important to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries can help you take charge of your life. I've found that by setting boundaries, I've been able to establish better personal growth, have healthier relationships, and also feel better about what I'm doing. I remember reading a book years ago by Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend called Boundaries. And it says that boundaries are made of two essential things: what you create and what you allow. What you create and what you allow. What are you allowing to happen in your life, and what are you creating? They give a definition of a boundary, and it's like a property line, and it defines where the property begins and where it ends. If you don't have a boundary, then you can go way off in one direction, or you can go way off in another direction. By boundaries, it's kind of like if you've ever been to a bowling alley and they have gutters on both sides. Well, occasionally they'll put up bumpers that will protect the ball from going into the gutter. So the boundaries are like those bumpers. They protect you from going into the gutter. Kind of a funny thing to think about, but they do. They set a path and a course to say, okay, here's what I'm willing to accept, and here's what I'm not willing to accept. I don't know if you've ever found this, but there's been times where I've said yes to things that I shouldn't say yes to. I've worked lots of overtime. I've skipped vacations. I've done different things because I didn't have set boundaries. By setting boundaries, you can take charge of your life. And here's some tips for setting and maintaining your personal boundaries. The first one is define your boundaries at home and at work. Here's some examples. Number one, and this one was really important for me, and it may help you too, is setting a time where you're going to end work for the day. For example, there were a lot of times where I'd tell my wife, well, yeah, I'll be home around 6 o'clock. And I would look at the clock and it would be like 6:30 and I'd still be at work working, and it was a half hour to get home. So at the soonest I was going to be there is 7 o'clock and I'm already late. Setting a hard boundary of the time you're going to leave for the day is one of the first steps. And you can also set a boundary of here's the time I'm going to start during the day as well. Another example would be this is the time of the day that I'm going to return calls, emails, and texts. And it may be a couple or a few different times during the day, but it's one thing as far as a boundary goes that will help you to continue to not live on email. Some other things would be, as an example, maybe there's foods that you want to avoid, or foods that you want to have in your diet, as an example. That would be a boundary. Another thing that's really important is to communicate your boundaries. And you want to communicate your boundaries to your person that you're reporting to, your supervisor or boss. The other person that you want to communicate boundaries to is your spouse or significant other. It's really important that they know what to expect from you. And it's also one of the key ways I found that allows you to keep your boundaries. Number 3 is be firm but polite. If someone violates your boundaries, let them know, but do it in a polite manner. You don't need to be confrontational. You just need to be assertive. Number 4, and this is an important one, is learn to say no. If you're somebody that has a really high responsibility strength, it's very hard to say no. I know that I have this and I had to learn to say no. I know also that my wife has it, and I had to teach her the 2-letter word no. Because what happens is you tend to take on too many things and you're not able to do the things that are important or the things that you need to pay attention to. When asked to do something, give yourself some time to determine if it's something that works into your personal schedule. I have to check on my schedule before I can give you an answer on this. Let me get back to you on this. I'll let you know if I can help you out on this. There's a polite way to do it. It doesn't have to be no. It can be, you're just going to let them know, hey, I need a little bit of time to make this decision. And just make sure that it's not something that's going to interfere with your most important work. If it is, say no. Maybe suggest somebody else that could help the person out, or somebody else could take on the project. Number 5 is take breaks. It's important to take regular breaks. This can help you also avoid burnout, and it does help recharge. There's a lot of research out there that shows if you take a break every 60 to 90 minutes, it enables you to refresh, recharge, and be more energized and be able to get more work accomplished in a more efficient manner. One thing that many people do, especially high achievers, and this may be you, is they skip vacation time. They skip their PTO. I remember a very wise man told me once that don't skip your vacations. Nobody is going to thank you for not taking your PTO when you leave the company or you retire from the company. He did say, though, that the people in your family will miss that time that they could have had with you. So take your PTO, get your vacation scheduled. And finally, number 6, practice self-care. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And that means setting boundaries on your sleep, making sure that you're getting enough sleep, setting boundaries on your exercise, setting boundaries on your eating habits, that you're eating healthy foods, and setting boundaries that you have time to do hobbies and do fun things outside of work. Take some time this week to set your boundaries. Thanks for listening, and be audacious. You can contact me at jeff@coachjeff.me. Please share this podcast with your friends and coworkers.